afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe you can hear me. I'm trying to be polite and speak in English because I presented this project actually in Cambridge 2 weeks ago, and we are collaborating with University of Cambridge, and they're actually using some of our measures in their analytics, not Cambridge Analytica, no, I was a faculty of education. Yes, I was having a very egg-headed 1st of May. I came home, my husband said that now you are turning from egghead into a redhead. Munapäästä punapääksi. We were living in a Cambridge college like nuns, and everybody else was partying here. Seriously, research is serious business, and it takes like high-level sports. It's like korkean paikan leiri in Finnish. So you really need to do, we've been doing research on learning for 20 years. And there are many instances, I was thinking about this fast track changing, because when you have been developing your measures for 20 years, then they may work. But in my research, it very often shows that changes in people's, especially mindsets, would take even several years. And our latest research is on teachers. It's called epistemic cognition, but teachers' ideas of what learning is. And we've noticed that is one of the major hindrances of taking these things into practice, putting things into practice. And we found also a correlation between a kind of collaborative, constructivist way to approach teaching and learning, which is in line with our new curriculum that we took in Finland, a national curriculum, 2016. Those teachers who are that kind of metacognitive, collaborative approach to teaching and learning, their well-being was actually better. Today there was news that teachers are not well. And in our study, 70% of teachers actually had a mindset that was working against the new study curriculum. So, and those teachers who had compatible ideas of teaching and learning with the new curriculum, that positively correlated with both their well-being and negatively to burnout and cynicism syndromes. So there are also lots of backgrounds we need to take into account. And Professor Kai Hakkarainen and I, we studied together, and we've been working together, and both studied in Canada, in Toronto as well. And it's so funny, we always start a new project. It's like playing with Legos is to start a new exciting project with Kai. He always comes up with something new. And I'm the collaboration coordinator of this project. So he wants to be the egghead now, and he wants me to present. But you can be in contact with Kai if you're interested in more detail. And there are other people from Turku here, Ville people are here. We have another veteran of war, Erno Lehtinen from Turku. And then we have neuroscience. We are doing research on teenagers' brain. Actually, we have one of the largest data sets on developing teenage brain. So if you want to ask about gaming and brain, you can come and ask, are we destroying the brains or something like that? And also analytics with Tapio Salakoski and Jari Lavonen, who is a great guy in science education. And then we have a very playful person, Frans Mäyrä. In Finnish, it sounds a bit like a character of a cartoon. Linda Liukas, Frans Mäyrä. These people who are into gamification and playfulness. And then I'm the interaction coordinator. And we also work with the city of Helsinki very closely, and Innokas Network, which is a national network. They organize events like robotics and coding and doing all these lovely things that Mario was showing around the country. And then we have this, I'm also a visiting professor in South Africa and Taiwan, so we have a very global network, and our English partners come from universities of Cambridge and Oxford, and there is a really wonderful network there. Not to mention the business network. Who is involved in Growing Mind? Are there any partners here? I know Ville, and then there were no people from, they're new partners. Like Timo Honkela, who is building the Peace Machine, he's saying, if you are not my friends, if you are not my old friends, you are my new friends. So we can make some new friends here. So we have this Hakkura, which is like a weird network of all kinds of projects. Maybe some of you remember Mind the Gap project that from Academy of Finland. Bridging the Gaps is my new Academy of Finland project where we are following up for school children. And there are lots of interesting projects by Kai and the others. But this Growing Mind is like umbrella for all these kinds of projects. So we know what it is to have a project and this kind of system, and it's like that's how people work nowadays. I'm not going very much into this general blah, blah, blah here, but there are these wicked problems, and we cannot really solve them by spoon-feeding information to people. They really need to understand societal changes. For instance, we have this SOTE, this health kind of social and health services renewal. I don't understand anything about it. I have to say, I'm a professor, and I'm watching the news, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And such complex problems we need to kind of start to understand, unless people, otherwise they will stop watching the news because they just don't understand what's going on. And also this gap between what happens inside and outside schools, that's been our study now. And I think this project is kind of putting that gap smaller. It has been widening in Finland because you make school more engaging and less boring and bring all these knowledge practices outside school to inside school and empower the children and make them active agents of their own learning. And also our research has shown that only 50% of Helsinki area school children are actually a bit like digital natives, but 60% are like basic users who are not very good with digital technologies. Good news for gamers is that 25% of these kids were gamers, and we looked at their technology use and their brain function and everything. It appears that gaming has lots of benefits for intellectual development, whereas excessive multitasking in our research has been a bit problematic, so that people who are excessively multitasking, they may have problems in focusing on one thing all the time. But gamers are definitely not like that. So the purpose is we support this kind of learning and positive development of youth. As I told you, we are looking at well-being as well. We are following up same children who were born in 2000. They are now 17-year-olds. Some of them are in high school, some are in vocational, and we are looking at how they develop and what predicts when they are 12, what predicts their future. And now they are entering working life, and we can see very long-term effects. But mainly I'm most excited, this is just background thing, this research is important because we need this evidence about what works and what doesn't. But even more exciting is this, all these inventive, investigative practices that we can bring to schools. And this research is not like being in an ivory tower at the university. We are going to the schools, and most of my PhD students are class teachers. They have a class teacher training because they are studying in a master program of class teachers as educational psychology as the major. So we find out about innovative ways, how people use digital technologies. We see what is useful, what is less useful, what may be even harmful. We have one article on dark side of the internet use. But good news is it's only 8% usually of people can be called as addicted to any technology. So using a lot of technology doesn't mean addiction. And there are lots of elder researchers who are warning about the dangers all the time. I think it's like sex education. You always talk about disease and becoming pregnant, and nobody tells you it's also fun. So, so this talk about digitalization is a bit like that. But we have University of Turku there, Neuroscience is Helsinki, University of Turku is education and analytics, computer science, game research from Tampere. Our part is more like this, and here is kind of a part of our project. So we have longitudinal data, these brain imaging studies, psychological interventions trying to kind of change the mindset of people, and there is evidence that we can do that actually. Even in 3 months, when people start acting differently, they may start thinking differently. Design experiments, this is going to school and doing things with schools. And then we have a randomized control experiment on mathematics learning in Turku, developing analytics together with City of Helsinki. And also what is most close to my heart is teachers' professional development. No more lectures like this for teachers. Let's go to school, and my friends in Cambridge are doing lesson studies that is coming from Japan, and Japanese colleagues going to schools, doing things with teachers, and that would be training, not like sitting, we are all believers, we can sit here and you can listen to me, but those who are not so interested, they don't get so much about lecturing. And business partners, we also have, sorry this is a bit repetitive but Intel, Telia, Lenovo, Planet, and others. So we have major companies, and then we have small startups, and there is room for more as well. And what is important is this research practice partnerships. And I like that because many of my students are teachers at schools. My husband is an elementary school teacher. It's all about school. And for me, schooling is too boring. We need to change it more engaging. Not an amusement park, but to really experience the joy of learning and co-designing these solutions. And this oppimisympa is a wonderful project to do that. And also there has to be that I have to come out from my comfort zone, and teachers must come out of their comfort zone, but you cannot really do that. You have to gently stretch the comfort zone. If you just start introducing people something that they are not ready for, they just become defensive. So the idea is we must have this psychological idea of how the change process and management and leadership is something. I'm actually became a board member of Soprano Ltd, which is specialized in leadership training. So I hopefully learn something from that. And of course, there's a societal impact. We need to promote well-being and motivation in young people. We don't want them to become cynical and burned out. And we want to integrate in meaningful ways these pedagogical things to learning and developing testing constantly. This sounds like your project, actually. Sorry. We're kind of taking over it, but as you can see, it's very much like what you guys are doing. And I'm very happy that because we got this is a really big project, 6 years, 6 million euros, and still it's not very much money. But if you have all kinds of project häkkyräs, then it can work. And we really need to collaborate with you. So it takes a systemic challenge. It's not only about people. Kai usually is saying during this slide that they've been trying to implement these things already in 1990s at schools, but time wasn't ripe then. Then actually there was this backlash. When PISA results came, we all had PISA in our heads, and for 10 years people are telling me, Kirsti, don't do anything, don't change something that is not broken, don't fix something that isn't broken, leave the school alone, we have wonderful school. But the main thing why Finnish schools are so good, we are constantly changing them. We've done that in 1970, we had this major transformation that we have master level teacher education, free lunches for all, free schools, free everything. And many people doubted that, but it appears to work really well, this kind of democratic system. So we have the shared goal with the City of Helsinki. Maybe I would say Metro Helsinki, Espoo, Vantaa, Helsinki, Kauniainen, Turku, Tampere, whatever. But now in Helsinki context, we are committed to this kind of idea. But I know that when Helsinki is doing well, the whole country is doing well. When this metropolitan area is doing well, it's kind of prosperity for all. So it's not only about education, but they have this saying that if you really want to change the world, start changing education. And it has to be constantly renewed. And we are not spoiling our wonderful comprehensive school. We are just updating it and putting it to the next level, I hope. And then I have lots of publications here to say that we are very smart and egg-headed. Okay, thank you for this. And please come to talk to me and be in contact with us. And Laura Salo is actually coordinating and helping us then in practical matters.